What is up, YouTube? Mike Pateras here. Welcome back. This is episode number 3 of installing a roll cage in my race car. So even though the build series is mostly focused right now around me installing this roll cage in the car, we're going to deviate away from that just a little bit because in the last video I asked you guys what you thought about me tubbing the back end of the car. A whole bunch of you guys responded both on YouTube and Instagram. I've even been thinking about it like crazy. I've even been losing sleep over it. Not really, but I'm gonna do it. You know, I've been thinking about it, thought about all the work that I've done in the front end of the car with the custom strut towers and the wheel tubs and all that. All the work that actually will go on with installing the roll cage and having to paint everything inside the car. It only makes sense to just continue that theme to the back end of the car. So the first thing I gotta do is take this trunk lid off. Get out of the way, gives me all the room in the world to kind of get in and out of the trunk, do what I gotta do to weld the wheel tubs in. Plus, I just don't want this thing falling on top of me while I'm back there. Another thing I'm going to be doing is cutting out about 95% of the rear deck lid. What that's going to do is not only give me more room to see what I'm doing when I'm in the back of the trunk, but it's actually also going to expose the rear strut towers because I have another cool idea up my sleeve for that. So I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. But for now, let's get started. Alright, so trunk lid's off. I've already started to remove some of the spot welds on this side. I'm going to do the same thing to the driver's side. If you look here, if I pull this back, you know, you can see there's multiple layers here. There's actually a main support beam that's going across underneath the deck lid. And because everything's all stacked, to remove every spot weld one by one with something like this, which is multiple layers, is actually really tricky. So a good friend of mine actually let me borrow his plasma cutter. So I'm going to put that to use and I'm going to mark up along the top deck lid where I want to cut it out of the car. And basically that way, once I cut out majority of it with the plasma cutter, any other spot welds that I can actually get to that I see that are holding me up, then I'll drill those out. And the whole panel should come out completely after that. So let's get to it. In there tight. There we go. There we go. That is the rear deck lid out of the car. Alright, got the rear deck lid out of the car. There's still some of the original panels here that is still like, well, this actually, that was easy. But there's still a couple more pieces that are just spot weld that I need to remove. And then I'm just going to clean up all the edging where I cut with the plasma cutter, get everything nice and clean. And then I'll pull the cardboard back out of the back window. And this whole back area should be pretty good. Let's go. right, so deck lid panel completely out of the car. Everywhere where the slag was left over from the plasma cutter, cleaned that all up with the flap disc all the way around, and now we've got the strut towers exposed like I was saying. So now we've still got a bunch of seam sealer all the way around here, and there's actually a plate that's spot welded to the top of the strut tower. So I'm going to drill out these spot welds, and I'm also going to remove all the seam sealer and clean up all the original spot welds that are on here. Get that all cleaned up and ready, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so got everything all cleaned up. Everything's all hit down with the flap disc, all smoothed out. Everything's all nice and clean. And as you can see, there is a massive mess inside the car now. Some scrap pieces over there and metal dust and seam sealer crap all over the place. So I'm going to quickly vacuum everything up and I'll explain to you guys what's next. All right, so I got everything all cleaned up in here. So now you can see a little bit better what's going on with the exposed strut tower, and with the rear deck lid removed, completely cut out of the way. Gives me all the room in the world, you know, to get to the rear tubs, to do everything that I'm going to do. Now, as I was saying, with the rear tubs back here, I'm going to design a plate that's basically the same shape as this that I'm going to have laser cut, and then that plate will go onto here and weld around the entire perimeter of the tub to reinforce it and plate it, which is what it's called. But I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do in the rear here. Let's go over to the back of the trunk here. So with the wheel tubs, you can see that from the factory, both these wheel tubs are actually not symmetrical to each other. I think Subaru did that because the fuel filler is on the passenger side, but because I've got OCD, I'm going to make these symmetrical. So I'm going to basically weld in my new wheel tubs over here on either side and replicate something that you would see in a WRC car. So as I was saying, I'm going to plate the rear strut towers. Now, in order to do that, I need to cut out a template that's the exact same shape as the top of the strut tower, and then I will have it laser cut and then welded into place. But I'm not going to stop there. If you remember what I said at the start of the video about continuing the theme from the front of the car to the back, this is what I was talking about. The front strut tower design, which is a copy of a Subaru WRC Pro Drive built rally car. I'll show you over here what I'm talking about. This is actually a spare set of plates from the original design when I first had them laser cut. Now this is actually a two-piece system. Each piece gets welded together. I'm going to do something similar in the rear. Basically, I'm going to use a plate like this, just a little bit smaller in diameter. The holes are a little bit different. I'm not going to have the built-in caster adjustment, but what you're going to end up with, like I said, first, one plate, the exact same shape of this, will get welded into place. Then a second plate, a little bit smaller in size, will go on top and get welded, and you will end up with something looking like that. Now, even though it doesn't really serve a major purpose, it might reinforce the strut towers a little bit just due to the thicker material, but at the end of the day, it's just form over function. It matches what's going on in the front of the car, and it's going to look good in the rear of the car. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you think this is going to look cool, if it's a cool idea, if you like what I've done in the front, let me know what you think. And I almost forgot. Something awesome showed up yesterday. Thanks to the guys at Rocky Mountain Autosports, my roll cage has shown up. This is a Custom Cages Subaru GDB Step 3 full weld-in roll cage kit. So in the next episode, I will cut open this magical black package of a roll cage kit. I'll show you guys exactly what's inside, and I am going to start on tubbing the back end of the car. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with all these videos, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.